the moment Blake Shelton stepped onto the set of Good Morning America. Viewers expected the usual lighthearted country charm, a few laughs, and maybe a tease about upcoming music. But tension was thick from the start.
No, George Stephanopoulos. No.
For his sharp interview style, pivoted from casual chit-chat to a pointed question about Shelton's recent remarks on the state of modern America during a concert. Shelton, clearly taken aback, tried to deflect with humor. "I'm just a guy with a guitar, George," he said with a half-smile. But Stephanopoulos didn't let it go. He pressed again with Shelton, using his platform to push a political agenda. The air shifted. Shelton's smile faded. He leaned forward, voice calm but firm. "When I sing about what I see, it's not an agenda. It's my life." Stephanopoulos responded with a challenge, referencing a past lyric that had stirred online debate. Shelton, now visibly frustrated, pushed back. "You invited me here to talk about music, not turn me into some headline." Tension was palpable. Cameras captured the host trying to regain control, but the energy was already spiraling. Then came the moment no one expected. Shelton paused, adjusted his mic, and stood. "I came here with respect," he said quietly, "but I won't stay where I'm not given the same." With that, he walked off the set, live and unfiltered. For a beat, there was only stunned silence. Then the show cut to commercial. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Shelton's calm exit became a viral flashpoint, sparking fierce debates about media ambushes, artistic freedom, and the line between expression and interrogation. Backstage. Production assistant scrambled while Stephanopoulos sat stone-faced, clearly trying to process what had just happened. The studio, usually filled with cheerful chatter between segments, now buzzed with confusion. Some staffers whispered that the questioning had gone too far, that the line between journalism and provocation had been blurred in real time. Others defended the host, arguing that public figures should expect scrutiny. But for viewers, the moment wasn't about politics or media ethics. It was about poise. Blake Shelton hadn't ranted. He hadn't raised his voice. He'd simply stood his ground and left. That calm defiance hit a nerve. On social media, fans posted clips of the walk-off on loop, hailing it as a masterclass in boundaries. Hashtags like #TeamBlake and #GMA walk-off trended for hours. Even celebrities chimed in, some defending Shelton's right to leave, others warning that interviewers were under increasing pressure to create viral gotcha moments. Meanwhile, Shelton said nothing. No tweets, no statements, no appearances. That silence, in its own way, spoke louder than anything he could have posted. It drew a line between authenticity and spectacle, between confrontation and conviction. As think pieces flooded entertainment, sites and talking heads dissected every second of the walk-off. One truth became clear: in a media landscape built on noise, sometimes the most powerful message is the one delivered by simply walking away. By the next morning, major outlets were already shifting tone. What was first called a meltdown was now being reconsidered as a moment of rare integrity. Whether intentional or not, Blake Shelton had sparked a national conversation, and he'd done it without saying a word past what needed to be said. As the dust settled, the public's focus began shifting from the spectacle to the substance. Blake Shelton, still silent days later, was now the centerpiece of a media narrative he never asked for, but had unmistakably shaped. His calm but decisive exit from Good Morning America had become more than a trending clip. It was being dissected in op-eds, referenced in college media studies classes, and turned into memes that painted him as a modern-day outlaw, defiant, unbothered, authentic. Meanwhile, GMA producers quietly edited the replay of the segment, trimming the most heated back and forth before airing it again the following morning. But it was too late. Clips had already gone viral. In a rare moment of introspection on air, admitted, "Maybe I pushed too hard." His comment only added to the moment's gravity. Country music stations began playing Shelton's latest single on repeat, unintentionally turning it into an anthem of quiet rebellion. A lyric about walking out when the words turn cold. was suddenly heard as prophecy. Without saying anything, Shelton's brand had evolved. He was no longer just the charming voice behind chart toppers or the playful coach on The Voice. Now he was a symbol of personal boundaries, of artistic freedom, of the power in choosing not to fight but to leave with dignity. The conversation moved beyond him, morphing into a wider cultural discussion. How we treat guests in the media spotlight. How quickly interviews can become interrogations, and how rare it is to see someone stand up, not with volume, but with silence. And so, as other headlines rolled in, and newer controversies competed for attention, Blake Shelton's moment didn't disappear. It's lingered, quiet, powerful, and unforgettable. Asterisk, in the weeks following the walk-off, Blake Shelton remained entirely off the press circuit, skipping typical promotional stops and declining all interview requests. His management offered no statements, only confirming that he was focusing on music and family. That silence continued to fuel speculation, but it also amplified admiration. Music critics began to re-examine his work with fresh eyes, noting how often themes of integrity, quiet resistance, and emotional restraint showed up in his lyrics. Some even dubbed him the reluctant dissenter of country music, controversy, yet somehow defining it by simply refusing to perform on demand. Meanwhile, other celebrities began referencing the moment in jest and solidarity. A clip from The Voice where Shelton jokingly reached for his mic as if to walk off went viral again. This time reframed with the caption, "He knew how to leave before they asked too much." Asterisk, at the same time, Good Morning America found itself navigating a quiet fallout. Publicists grew wary. A few upcoming guests reportedly asked for pre-approved topics, something the show had rarely allowed. Behind the scenes, producers held emergency meetings about balancing hard-hitting journalism with hospitality. George Stephanopoulos, though still widely respected, didn't escape unscathed. For once, it wasn't his political interviews making waves. It was a country star's calm departure that had sparked national reflection. As for Shelton, when he finally resurfaced months later with a surprise live performance at a Nashville benefit, the crowd erupted not just for the music, but for what he had come to represent. He didn't mention the incident. He didn't need to. A simple wave, a grin, and a "let's play some damn music" was all it took to bring the focus back to what mattered. In a culture that often rewards outrage, Blake Shelton had reminded everyone that sometimes the strongest statement is the one made while walking away. Asterisk. Industry insiders began quietly referring to the Shelton effect, a growing trend among artists and public figures drawing firmer boundaries during interviews and public appearances. Across television and podcast studios, producers were suddenly more cautious. Off-the-cuff confrontations were reined in. Guests were briefed more thoroughly, and segments that once thrived on manufactured tension were softened. That moment on Good Morning America, where being felt beyond one network or one performer right had altered the landscape. Shelton's silent protests had unexpectedly become a case study in media relations, personal branding, and the evolving rules of celebrity engagement. It was a powerful reminder that today's audiences, overwhelmed by daily drama, increasingly craved authenticity over theatrics. Asterisk, yet through all the analysis, debate, and headlines, Shelton himself refused to fan the flames. He released no statement, penned no op-ed, and never capitalized on the moment in any overt way. And because of that, the walk-off retained its mystique. It didn't become a punchline or a publicity stunt, it became a symbol. Fans saw in Shelton not just a country artist, but a man who chose dignity over spectacle. And while George Stephanopoulos continued his career, Good Morning America returned to its usual rhythm. That brief, this unexpected moment remained part of pop culture's collective memory, not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't. In the end, Blake Shelton's walk-off wasn't about confrontation. It was about clarity, knowing when a conversation stops being a conversation and having the courage to walk away anyway. Asterisk.